the mic.
Get on the mic.
Just get on the mic. Get on the mic, Mike.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Get on the Mic. That's where you put me in front of this microphone with a few notes and I talk about some of the more interesting things that have happened throughout the world of entertainment or whatever else I found interesting throughout the week. Before I get started with this packed program, I have to talk about my new partners. I am joining the DNA Digital Network because right now, the only place you could find this program was on YouTube, but not anymore. Now, thanks to the DNA Digital Network, you'll be able to find my program in audio form on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and other places where podcasts are available. Now you can listen to this program on your favorite audio device. For more details, check out dnadigitalnetwork.com. Now on to the program. We got a lot to cover today, so here we go. First, we're going to talk about the Black Panther movie. No. Not the really cool-looking one that's coming out soon. No. We're talking about one that was supposed to happen 25 years ago. Also, we're going to be talking some wrestling on the program. I am a wrestling fan. Some of you know that. We're going to be talking about Ronda Rousey in the WWE. Next, we're going to be talking about the Dundee, I guess we'll call it movie. Also, what do Mario and Minions have in common? Next, we'll be talking about Fantastic Beasts sequel's take on Dumbledore. And then House of Cards goes back into production after the problems they had with Mr. Kevin Spacey. First, let's talk about Black Panther. What would you say if I told you that Wesley Snipes was supposed to play Black Panther? In the mid-1990s, Wesley Snipes was approached by Marvel about a Black Panther movie with him in the starring role. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he talked about all the problems that went through trying to get it made. And he liked the idea of the comic being a movie because he liked the idea of showing the beautiful side of Africa because a lot of times it was shown as a depressing and desolate land. Marvel was struggling for a hit at the time because they had failures such as Howard the Duck, Dolph Lundgren's Punisher, which, by the way, I like that movie and I own it. I know it's not good, but it's Punisher. I'm a Punisher fan, so, of course I'm going to at least collect it. And then the still officially unreleased Fantastic Four movie from 1994. So they were struggling. Snipes was sought after because he had had a string of hits that included movies like New Jack City, Passenger 57, Demolition Man, and others. And those three movies, those are classics for me. I love all three of those movies. Snipes saw the Marvel superhero project as a cultural movement. He had this to say about it. He said, "Black Panther is an iconic character who much of the world was unfamiliar with and the communities that I grew up in would love. Look, from the days of William Marshall playing Blackula in the 1970s, black flicks, and the fervor you found inside the black and Hispanic communities, it never crossed my mind that the audience wouldn't be down with it." He even had Stan Lee's blessing to play the part. And you think, well, other than the fact that it was the 90s, what went wrong? I mean, because if he's a star on the rise and they have this property, why didn't they do it? One struggle he explained was explaining that the movie was about a comic book hero and not the civil rights revolutionaries from the 1960s. Yeah, I could see that. They got Columbia Studios on board to produce and was in search for a screenwriter and a director. On the short list of directors were Mario Van Peebles and John Singleton. They never talked to Mario Van Peebles, but they did John Singleton. And Snipes had this to say about his meeting with Singleton. He said, "I laid on him my vision of the film being closer to what you see now, the whole world of Africa being a hidden, highly technically advanced society cloaked by the force field vibranium, right?" And John was like, nah, see, he's got the spirit of the Black Panther, but he's trying to get his son to join the civil rights activist organization. And he and his son have a problem, and they have some strife because he is trying to be politically correct, and his son wants to be a knucklehead. Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're in the same boat, right? Snipes continued, Snipes says, "I am loosely paraphrasing our conversation, but ultimately John wanted to take the character and put him in the civil rights movement." And I'm like, dude, where's the toys? They are highly technically advanced, and it will be fantastic to see Africa in this light, opposed to how Africa is typically portrayed. I wanted to see the glory and the beautiful Africa, the jewel Africa. So yeah, definitely on different pages, definitely on different eras, definitely on different everything between the two of them. Snipes says that he was ultimately happy that they didn't go down that road, as am I, because I mean, that totally just would have taken away what the character is. And yeah, you know, they were already messing up enough with everything else. So that's one less character that they messed up with. And if it's anything like the Fantastic Four movie, which isn't the worst thing ever, but still, I'm glad it never got released, other than you can find it on YouTube or whatever. It didn't officially get released. It didn't get made. While a lot of progress was made on the project, it was ultimately stalled. Snipes said, ultimately, we couldn't find the right combination of script and director, and also at the time, we were so far ahead of the game in our thinking that technology wasn't there to do what they had already created in the comic book. If you think about this, you know, this is even way before movies like Daredevil and things like that. I mean, just look the way Daredevil looked, the Ben Affleck version, not the really good Netflix series. The Ben Affleck version, you know, anytime they had it far back and they were showing him jumping around, you could tell it was CG. Well, it'd probably be the same thing with the Black Panther. Granted, the outfit would have been a little darker, so it might have hit it a little better, but yeah, we know how bad that looked. But think about this. What if that movie had happened? If so, would we have gotten Blade? Because Blade, if you think about it, was the comic book movie that brought back comic book movies after movies like Batman and Robin kind of helped flush them down the toilet there for a while. It brought back comic book movies to the theater. And Snipes even admits that his experience with trying to get Black Panther made helped lead him to make Blade. So, excuse me, you know, we all know how good Blade is. I mean, yeah, they kind of faltered I like 2. I like 1 better. A lot of people say 2's better. And then we all know 3 is kind of garbage. I mean, it's got its pluses and minuses, but just remember, if you remember back, it was pretty much an iPod commercial. The very first iPod commercial. You know, I like to listen to music when I hunt vampire. Yeah, thanks, Jessica Biel. So, you know, it didn't get made, but thankfully, I'm almost thankful it didn't. I'm pretty thankful. I'm certain I'm thankful it didn't, because we wouldn't have gotten Blade. Or maybe we would have, but I think if he would have been identified as Black Panther, he wouldn't have been Blade. Granted, he could have found someone else, but Wesley Snipes was pretty great as Blade. And also, of course, now Black Panther is probably about to become the biggest Marvel movie ever, at least to date. It broke Fandango's Marvel pre-sale record, which was held by Captain America Civil War, which was the debut of Black Panther, among the new Spider-Man and a few other things. I mean, think about that. People liked Black Panther from Civil War so much that they are so excited about this movie. I'm excited about this movie. I get to see it a little early. I'm very excited about that. Excuse me. And I'm really excited that it's coming out, like a lot of other people. But what does Wesley Snipes think about this? He says he couldn't be more thrilled, and he had this to say: even though I am not part of this particular project, I support it 1,000%. And I'm absolutely convinced that this will be a catalyst for change and open other doors and other opportunities. And we need that kind of diversity and different flavor now. He is a young, talented actor, referring to Chadwick Boseman, and I think he is going to make it his own. I hope they give him a great opportunity to really come into the fullness of the character. On a side note, on a Wesley Snipes side note, we'll say, what about the rumors that he may be invited back to play Blade again? He had this to say about that, because he'd been talking to a lot of people lately. He says, I am very much open to all the possibilities. If Blade 4 comes along, that is a conversation we can have. And there are other characters in the Marvel Universe that, if they want to invite me to play around with, I'm with that too. I think the fans have a hunger for me to revisit the Blade character, so that could limit where they could place me in as another character in that universe. Okay, there's a little bit of a conundrum there, because, I mean, it's not the same universe. That being said, I think people would be okay with him playing Blade. They would accept that. They wouldn't say, well, I mean, they might loosely connect those movies, but you don't really have to really connect them. That being said, him playing someone else, granted, I could see him in the Black Panther movies as someone else. Chadwick Boseman's so good as T'Challa. I don't want to see Wesley Snipes play him now, but I mean, he could have been somebody else in that. I can't really think of any heroes I'd want to see him play besides Blade off the top of my head because I liked him as Blade so much. But it's weird that it really seems like Snipes wants back in the game. And I think Blade would be the way for him to do it because that's what everyone loved him as. Why do something different? That being said, look at like Chris Evans. He played the Human Torch, and then now he's Captain America. Plus he's played a few other comic book characters and graphic novel characters and stuff like that. So, you can play different parts, but I think that people one role you really identify Wesley Snipes with is Blade. That being said, Marvel really has no plans for Blade to return right now, but they do have the rights to the character back. The way I think I'd like to see him play Blade wouldn't be a movie. Well, maybe. I'll get to that in a second. A Netflix show. I mean, think about it. I mean, Blade was an R-rated movie. I don't want a PG-13 Blade. With the way that the Marvel shows are allowed to go. I mean, look at Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and all of them. They're allowed to get pretty brutal and a little vulgar and things like that. That's perfect for the world of Blade. That being said, the Fox deal with Disney buying them opens up the possibility for another R-rated movie franchise thanks to Deadpool and Logan. So who knows where they're going to go with it, if they're going to go with it. I could see them doing a Netflix show first. That's where I think they'll probably want to go. Now, will they get Wesley Snipes to do it, or would he do it? Those are questions for another day. But I could see them wanting to not make there's other heroes I think they would like to try before they try to bring back another movie franchise that we've already had. I mean, though Blade was very popular, I mean, people are wanting to see things like Fantastic Four and the X-Men now that Fox has that stuff back. So I think they're going to try to go the way of Netflix. Now, whether Wesley Snipes wants to be involved, totally up to him. The next story we're going to talk about is Ronda Rousey being in the WWE now. After the historic first ever Women's Royal Rumble match, Joan Jett's bad reputation started playing at the Wells Fargo Center. After many rumors and speculation, the now former UFC and MMA fighter star Ronda Rousey made her entrance to the ring for the first time. The logo on the big screen was reminiscent of the late, great Roddy Piper. They used the same fonts and things like that. And it's also whose nickname she shared with the Hall of Fame wrestler. She went by Rowdy Ronda Rousey and Roddy Piper. She entered the ring, which at the time held the winner of the Royal Rumble, the first Women's Royal Rumble, Asuka, as well as the two WWE Women's Champions, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Rousey came in, pointed to the WrestleMania sign that was placed in the arena, which usually means that you're going to be involved in the event, usually a match. Then she left the ring and shook the hand of Stephanie McMahon, who she, along with The Rock, embarrassed at WrestleMania 31 almost 3 years ago. So what do I think of this? Look, I have to say this. I was not the biggest fan of Ronda Rousey's in MMA. I'm a big MMA fan. And there's a difference between confidence and cockiness. And I know it's a fine line, but I appreciated her talent, but the whole time she was saying she was the best when, she hadn't proven it. She was saying she was going to retire undefeated, which she could have until she met Holly Holm, who definitely found the holes in her stand-up game. So I wasn't the biggest fan of hers. I mean, my favorite female fighter, she's retired now, was Misha Tate, and they had a big rivalry. So of course I'm not gonna like Rousey as much because she kept beating Misha Tate, who was my favorite. But I wanted to see what would happen if she got beat, and she finally got beat by Holly Holm. I mean, bad. She got a head kick, knocked her out, and I thought maybe it would humble her a little bit, but no, she went away for like a year and came back and didn't want to talk to the media, didn't want to, she just wanted to come in, be awesome, and like reclaim her throne. Well, they gave her a title shot right away against one of the strongest punchers in women's MMA, Amanda Nunes. And Amanda Nunes cleaned her clock in the return match, and then she hasn't been back since. But here's the thing. Though I wasn't a big fan of her in MMA, I'm okay with her being in the WWE if she does it right. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is she needs to develop her character, a character. The first problem I'm seeing is that she's being too much of a fangirl. When she entered the ring the night of the Royal Rumble, she couldn't keep the smile off her face. Now, I kind of understand this because it's a pretty big moment, but when you're in that ring, when you are going to be a professional wrestler, you have to be able to keep your character going no matter what. And she kept switching from her mean Rousey face, which if you've seen one of her fights, you know what that is, where she puts that scowl on her face, looking like she's going to kill you. That's the Rousey face. But she kept switching between that and smiles, off and on and off. So that kept happening. So if she's going to be a full-time player, though, she has to be able to play the part. I don't think she's going to have any troubles with the physical side. I mean, she's a world-class athlete, and she just has to learn the moves, but she also has to learn the psychology of the ring. She has to learn what her character is going to be. So if she does that, I think she could do really well, and I could actually be a fan of hers. But, I mean, I've seen her in movies, and she's had bit parts here and there. Granted, she did okay playing herself in the Entourage movie, because I would hope that wouldn't be too far of a stretch for her as an actress, but the little part she had in that Fast and Furious movie was And then I guess she was supposed to be a part of one movie, and they cut her part down drastically, and they were supposed to do that Roadhouse remake with her, and apparently it's been canceled. Yeah, I mean, if she's willing to learn to play the part, or figures out what that part's going to be and can stick with it and not just be, I'm happy to be here, smiley fangirl, I think she could do really well. One of the reasons why I'm all for this is because wrestlers that come from real fighting backgrounds bring a level of believability and realism to the ring. Fighters like Ken Shamrock, Dan Severn, and of course, even though he started as a amateur wrestler and then went to pro wrestling first, I'll try to do this my best, Paul Heyman, the reigning, defending, undisputed Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar. I know, Lesnar's better, or Heyman's better than me, I know. Look, all these are examples of real fighters that were successful in professional wrestling. I mean, Shamrock had some losses when he came in, but they brought him in, called him the baddest man on the planet, and he looked it, and he acted like it, and he was ankle locking people and beating the crap out of people. Dan Severn, he pro wrestles like he fights, he's just a big, strong guy. So, they can come in and do it, but they have to get the act down. And by the way, I have to mention this because I mentioned Brock Lesnar. Did anyone else see Brock Lesnar punch Braun Strowman in the head the other night at the Royal Rumble after Strowman got a little too excited during their match in the ring? He kind of kneed Lesnar in the head, and Lesnar cussed at him and just punched him right in the head. Felt bad for the big guy because he was just excited to be there, and he got a little worked up, and Lesnar kind of put him in his place. But yeah, okay, so there's that. Yeah, it brings realism. The other reason I'm okay with it is because of her level of respect for the business. Fun facts. When she wanted to use the nickname Rowdy when she was fighting in MMA, she asked the legendary Roddy Piper if she could use it, in which he gave his blessing. She didn't have to do that. You can call yourself whatever you want in MMA. You know, you can be anything. And she asked him because she had that much respect and love for that character and for the business. Also, here's a nice little fact. The coat that she wore to the ring at the Royal Rumble the night of her debut was Piper's real leather coat. And when I saw that coat, it looked a little big on her. I'm like, man, that looks like Piper's coat. And sure enough, they allowed her to wear it to the ring, which is really cool. And like I said, her font for her logo, it looks just like Rowdy Piper's. They have a t-shirt that looks just like Rowdy Piper's shirt. So see, I like that this is just not a cash grab for her. I mean, she said it, but you can say anything you want, but I don't think this is a cash grab for her. It's a dream. The funny thing is, though, and I'm just joking here, so don't take this too seriously, but in her interview, she said something along the lines of, "This is my life now." And this was on Sunday night after her debut. "This is my life now." But then she didn't show up on Raw the next night. But no, I think they're going to start building her program soon. They've got the Elimination Chamber to get through, which is in a few weeks. So I think they're going to get through that and then start her progression. If I have to guess on how her match is going to go, being that they kind of set it up a few years ago, I think that she's either going to tag with The Rock against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, or since it's Survivor Series, they teased Braun Strowman and Triple H having issues. I think it might be her and Braun Strowman versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon at WrestleMania this year. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing if she can get it, because I'm wondering what's going to happen when she gets tired of the travel. I wonder what's going to happen, because she wants to be a full-time star. She's going to have to do, I mean, granted, she may not have to do house shows and stuff, but still, she's going to have a lot of traveling to do, a lot of promo stuff to do. How's she going to feel when they tell her she has to lose? I mean, because she didn't take real loss very well. I mean, is her looking weak as a pro wrestler going to affect her? I'm really curious to see. I think I have the right to say that because of the way she reacted to loss in real life, to losing in a contest. She has this image, and I'm not saying I don't think she can handle it. I'm saying I think she needs to be able to handle that stuff. And I want her to be able to handle that stuff because I love wrestling and I'd like to see her do well in it. The next thing we're going to talk about is that Dundee quote-unquote movie. A teaser trailer dropped not too long ago for a spin-off of the original Crocodile Dundee featuring Danny McBride as the son of the original Crocodile Dundee, Mick Dundee. Soon other snippets began to drop. The first one had Australia's own favorite God of Thunder, Chris Hemsworth, playing the son of Wally from the original movie. And then a new character trailer dropped not too long ago, featuring many of the well-known stars from Australia. Hugh Jackman, Russell Crowe, Margot Robbie, Isla Fisher, and yes, even Liam Hemsworth. I said well-known. Among others have had bit parts in the trailer. So was this movie, especially the cast, too good to be true? Well, from the way it looks, that would be a big yes. This movie is all supposedly a publicity stunt from Tourism Australia, which is supposed to lead up to some big Super Bowl ad. Despite this only being a publicity stunt, I had to ask myself, would this movie even be a good idea? And it may even happen given the popularity of this, but we're going to talk about that. Is this a good idea? Ultimately, I'd have to say no. Look, while I have a fondness for the original movie, being that I am a quarter Australian myself on my mom's side, my grandma's is full Australian. I think that this is a movie that needs to be left alone, or a franchise that needs to be left alone. First, the two sequels that this franchise did have weren't the greatest, and I don't even think all of Australia's top talent can make it great. Also, a lot of the original movie's humor wouldn't translate well today. I mean, really think about the original Crocodile Dundee. Of course, the first thing you're going to think of, and even this Dundee trailer kind of makes fun of it, that's not a knife, this is a knife. But think about it. Think about scenes like the bar scene where he went with the cabbie. Think about where he went to the party and grabbed that lady. You know what I'm talking about. Think about some of the things he says, and it's supposed to be funny because he's Australian, There are tendencies of sexism, racism, homophobia, and transphobia, all played for laughs in that original movie, and the other movies, they got kind of lighter as it went on, but still, it was there. The new movie could try to make fun of this stuff, but I don't think it would work. I think that's what they would try to do, is make fun of it, and it just wouldn't fly. Look, I'm not going to damn the Crocodile Dundee movies because they were a product of their time. You think about it, we look back on, comedians of the past, and even movie shows, music of the past, and there are things that today we kind of, we're like, this probably isn't okay. Not anymore. So yeah, I'm not gonna forsake Crocodile Dundee. It's a movie that, I'm not gonna, like, if I see it on, I might watch it. I haven't watched it in a long time. But I remembered I saw it in the theater when I was a kid. Probably shouldn't have. Thanks, Mom. But I saw it in the theater. I've seen it since. And my grandma used to like to watch it. My grandma lived with us from when I was around 2, probably to at least, until I was like 18, 19. I can't remember exactly how long she lived with us, but she enjoyed that movie a lot. But here's the thing. Though I have the fondness for it, and I know that humor, I understand that humor is a product of the past. It's not something that I'm probably going to be showing my kids when I start showing them, and I have begun showing them movies from my past that I enjoy. And there's some that I probably shouldn't have showed them anyway, but they didn't ask the wrong questions afterwards. We watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit. We've watched The Goonies. I'm about to show my kids Tron. Just things that I really enjoyed. And we've watched some of the old cartoons and stuff, but, I'm slowly working in some of the movies of my past. I'm hoping to work in things like Back to the Future and things like that. But, Crocodile Dundee would be a hard one to explain to them, I think. So, and about that movie, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. Do I think it might happen? Yes, I do, because I think, I don't know if you're going to get everyone that was in that teaser. Granted, I think the publicity alone might convince them that it might be a good idea. But I just don't. I think it might happen, but I just don't think it should. The next thing we're going to talk about is it only took 24 years, but we are finally getting another Super Mario Brothers movie. There's a catch, though. The movies, I can't believe I'm saying this, the movies being made by Illumination, as in the Minions Illumination. The new Super Mario Brothers movie is co-produced by Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto and Illumination owner Chris Meledandri, I guess that's how you say his name, under the Universal Studios banner. And it's going to be an animated film, thankfully. And, I have to say this, the deal is no real surprise because in 2015, Nintendo and Universal made a deal that would see Nintendo-themed attractions at Universal Parks. So it's not a huge stretch for this deal to happen. But I'll talk about why I don't know if this is right in a minute. Of course, we know there was the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie starring 2 late great actors, Bob Hoskins and Dennis Hopper, along with John Leguizamo as Luigi and one of my movie crushes, Samantha Mathis, as Princess Daisy. She wasn't Princess Toadstool or anything like that. She was Daisy. So, is Illumination the right studio for a job? Oh, and of course, you know how that movie turned out, which I gotta say, it's one of those so bad it's good movies for me, but I know it's not a good movie. So, is Illumination the right studio for the job? Annoying minions aside, their marketing within their movies might be an issue. They are known for promoting future movies within their films. I mean, think about seeing the Sing billboards or whatever in The Secret Life of Pets, or you know the examples where they show other posters and billboards and stuff for other movies within their movies. So, are we going to see ads for the newest Minion movie or something within the Mario movie? Which that would totally take you out of the world, right? I'd like to think they'd stay away from that, but I have an idea of what I think they're going to do. So mark my words right now. This is my prediction, my guess, I'm looking into the future and the non-existent crystal ball I have in front of me, and I see this. If I had to guess, there's going to be some kind of minion suit or maybe a minion colored outfit. Think about it, like the blue overalls, a yellow shirt for Mario, yellow hat. I mean, come on, have you seen the yellow hat and stuff on and shirt on the Mario Maker covers, and right? I can see that, maybe not as like a thing that sticks around long in the movie, but like a throwaway joke for, Mario like is going through costumes or something, and he sees that costume and just like, and passes it on. Or he picks up a minion suit like the frog, like the frog suit or the Tanuki suit, and it's like a minion suit. I could see things like that happening. Mark my words. I'm going to say it's going to happen. But here's the thing. If I had a choice, if I had to pick who was going to make a Mario movie, I would have went with Disney. And I know they really need another big franchise, right? But the only reason I'd pick them is because of Wreck-It Ralph. I just like the way they handled video games in that movie. Now, granted, the Mario movie probably isn't going to be a video game. It's going to be a story of Mario, right? I get that. But the level of respect, the animation, just the way they handled video game type characters in Wreck-It Ralph is why I would pick them, not because I think Disney needs to own the world. So finally, will this deal keep Mario? This is one thing that I wonder. Will this deal keep Mario or other Nintendo characters, for that matter, out of Wreck-It Ralph 2? Mario was rumored to show up in the sequel. You had Bowser in the first movie, or King Koopa, or whatever you want to call him. So is that going to affect that now that they have a deal with Universal, or is there a deal already in place? I guess we'll find out when Wreck-It Ralph 2 comes out. Now, if this movie does work, which, hey, look, even though Illumination has it and I don't have the utmost confidence in them, I do hope it works. So if it works, hopefully it'll lead to more Nintendo franchises getting made into animated films. Animated films. I don't want to see a live-action Zelda. I don't want to see a live-action Metroid. Animated. Stick with animated. Granted, they're going to try it with something. Just, it would probably be one of those two, if anything. So I'd like to see games like Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Star Fox, Earthbound, and others get made into animated movies, because they're just begging to be made into movies. That being said, I don't want to start talking about a Nintendo shared universe. Despite games such as Mario Kart and Super Smash Brothers existing, let that stay in the video games. I mean, we've got enough sports games and kart games and everything else, Mario Party and everything else, that we don't need anymore. We don't need any more shared universes. Next, we're going to talk about the Fantastic Beasts sequel, and they're not going to address, and this is going to come as a shock to some people because a lot of people thought this might happen, they are not going to address Professor Dumbledore's sexuality in the movie. Entertainment Weekly interviewed director David Yates, and he said that the subject will not be a part of the crimes of Grindelwald, technically. He said when asked about it, not explicitly, but I think all the fans are aware of that. He had a very intense relationship with Grindelwald, played by Johnny Depp, when they were young men. They fell in love with each other's ideas, ideology, and each other. Now, while not in the books, Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling said this in 2007. I always thought of Dumbledore as gay. Dumbledore, I know my Harry Potter, which I don't really follow. Dumbledore fell in love with Grindelwald, and that added to his horror when Grindelwald showed himself to be what he was. So yeah, I'm not a huge Potterhead, I believe you guys call yourselves. So I don't really have a pony in this race, so to speak. Really, if you're on YouTube or Twitter or whatever, on the Real Geno, REELGENO, let me know what you think about this if you're a big Potter fan. Do you think that because Rowling added this to one of her characters after the fact that it counts as canon? Is there stuff in the books that support it? I have no idea, and I'd like to know. So if you know about this, let me know. Like I said, on Twitter, it's the Real Geno, REELGENO, or on YouTube in the comment section below if you're watching this on YouTube. Let me know what you think about that. The last story we're going to talk about is House of Cards. They are finally resuming filming for their final season. Netflix announced on Wednesday that production has resumed for the 6th and final season of House of Cards. Production was temporarily shut down after sexual misconduct allegations against Kevin Spacey came out. I don't know if you noticed this. If you're on Netflix, and I posted this, I was either on Twitter or my Facebook page. I saw this and thought it was kind of funny, kind of clever. They've got all the little thumbnails for their shows, right? Well, for House of Cards there for a while, they had a picture of Kevin Spacey either standing behind the president's desk or behind a podium or something. You know, he's doing that where he's leaning on his hands pose that he's done a few times in the series where he wraps his knuckle on the desk or whatever, like right before. Well, anyway, they have that picture, but it's kind of glitched out and you can't see his face. I mean, it's got like scratches and glitches, and it was kind of clever that it's like they're like, yeah, we're writing him out. So season 6 will have 8 total episodes, with Robin Wright taking over the lead role from Spacey. Now, I have to say this, and I've said it before. I think I said it in one of, like, a quick hit in one of the other programs, or I said it on something. I can't remember. I know I've said this before, but she technically already took over the lead role from him last season. She was the most compelling part about the season, the last season, and then the end of the season before, when she looked at the camera with Kevin Spacey, you know, and it's like, oh boy, she's going to be able to talk to us now. And then also she bided her time before she talked to us as the audience. And that was really cool, because she's just like, no, I'm in control and I know you're there, you know, but I'm just not going to yap like he does, you know, pointing to good old Frank Underwood. So also casting news for the last season of House of Cards. Diane Lane and Greg Kinnear have joined the final season. Details of the roles are being kept under wraps, but it is known that they will play siblings. Other than that, there's been no real details that have come out other than some returning cast members and everything. Basically, I'm going to say this. Those that survive, the more they can get back for these final 8 episodes, which I think normal seasons were 13. So, you know, they're losing about 5 episodes. So that's not terrible. At least it's not like a complete half a season. But no real details have been come out about how they're going to write out Spacey or whatever. You know, I can't imagine them assassinating him, because they already tried that in the show and he survived. And they might try again. Who knows? We'll see. But I have to say this, no matter what, being especially now that Robin Wright's in the lead, I really look forward to seeing what they're going to do. I'm really surprised, though, that maybe they have an end in mind, but if it does really well, will they consider continuing with Robin Wright? Who knows? Maybe they got a real definitive ending where they can't do that. I guess we'll find out. All right, guys, it's time for quick hits. And there's a few of them today. First, along with Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu, the movie Detective Pikachu has added Ken Watanabe as well as Bill Nye. No, not the science guy, the other one. All I have to say is this. If Bill Nye is mocapping a Pokemon, I'm now kind of invested. Along with many of you, I watched the Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer. While it looked like it's going to be a lot of fun like the first movie, does this and the first movie's lack of following its own science drive anyone else nuts besides me? Isn't anything hit with the PIM particle supposed to keep the same weight as before? If so, how can a tank be a keychain or a building be wheeled away with a dolly? On the same note, Giant Man shouldn't be any more stronger despite being bigger, right? Shut up and enjoy it, Geno. Just shut up and enjoy it. The next installment of The Purge will be a prequel, I guess. The new poster for the movie mocks Donald Trump, no surprise there, with a red hat that says the name of the movie, The First Purge. There was still a story to tell stemming from the first 3 movies, but I won't get into that here. I can tell you how this movie's going to end, though. The Purge. Look, these movies are somewhat guilty pleasures of mine, but do we really need to make America purge again? Next, apparently Cloverfield 4 has already been shot and is set in World War II. Did I miss Cloverfield 3? Look, I'm kidding. I'm really looking forward to God Particle or whatever Cloverfield name the studio will slap on it to make it fit into this universe. I have to say this. Cloverfield Lane 2 is pretty good. 10 Cloverfield Lane was good. John Goodman was fantastic in it. I'm looking forward to the rest of them. We'll see what they can come up with. Next, a new set photo is released from the set of the new Halloween movie, which sees the return of Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. She's looking pretty good and alive, so that's good too. According to Garrett Hedlund, the star of Tron Legacy, the newest Tron movie was greenlit and ready to go, but the underperformance of Tomorrowland caused Disney to halt production, as if I needed any more reasons to hate Tomorrowland. Lastly, Mel Gibson, according to Jim Caviezel, is working on a sequel to The Passion of the Christ. Gibson has quote-unquote cracked the story, according to Caviezel, who is set to return as Jesus in the movie. I have to say this, it shouldn't really come as big news, because if you read the book, you knew this had to happen. That's going to be everything I have news-wise for Get on the Mic this week. I want to avert your attention to some other things that I'm working on and some friends are working on. First is the Geek Be Cubed YouTube channel, where me and my buddy Bill Heisenerd Fields do a bi-weekly podcast called the GB3 Podcast. We talk all things geek. We talked about shared universes was our main topic last week. And I believe we're going to be working on movies based on games and games that are based on movies. Was going to be our main topic the next bi-weekly podcast. Also, if you get a chance, check out Heisenerd's channel. He does gaming live streams, let's plays, among other things. Also, he has a YouTube podcast called Heisenerd Speaks. And then soon, along with the GB3 podcast, we are going to be working on some more projects together in the near future. We're going to do some let's plays together. We're going to team up for some movie reviews. We got a few ideas we want to try, and I'd love it if you guys would help support that and give it a chance. Also, the Geek Be Cubed podcast and the Heisenerd Speaks podcast will be joining me on the DNA Digital Network very soon. You'll be able to get all 3 podcasts on your favorite digital devices using iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and much more. You'll still be able to find them on YouTube as well. We're keeping them there, but now you can get them in audio form. So for more information on these shows, the DNA Digital Network, and more, make sure to check out dnadigitalnetwork.com. Lastly, I have to give a heartfelt thank you again to the people that took the time to subscribe to my channel on YouTube, help support the little guys and gals that are busting their butts here on YouTube. It means a lot to me that everyone's at least willing to give it a chance. Look, if you end up not liking my program, I'm cool with that. Those that like it, those that don't. I just want people to enjoy themselves when they come to my channel. I like to spark up fun debates. If we disagree on a movie, I want to try to keep it cool. If we disagree or agree and you want to talk about stuff, that's what I want for my channel. I don't want my channel to be this place where people just come to to get mad at each other and everything. I want my channel to be pretty positive. And for the most part, it's been that way. And those of you that have been with me for a long time, you guys are awesome. And I'm glad you're there and you've stuck with me. And those of you that are new that like it, that have given it a chance, I'm happy to have you guys there as well. It's a lot of fun to be able to put stuff up and talk to people who, honestly, a lot of you I never even met except typing on a screen. And you know what? I'm cool with that because I still feel like I'm getting to know you. And it's a lot of fun for me. And again, I just want to thank you guys for the support. And, I'm still working on, I've got these subscriptions. You have to have 1,000 subscriptions, which I'm there. And you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time. I'm up to, I need like 2,600 hours of watch time. So if you get a chance, try to watch a lot of my stuff. My problem is I do a lot of shorter videos because I like shorter reviews. Now I do have some longer form programs like this, but a lot of my videos that are reviews and things like that are a lot shorter. I will say though, if you get a chance, I have a lot of older interviews that if you haven't got to see them, check those out. I did some great interviews with Jason David Frank. I did 2 with him. I interviewed one of my favorite people in the world, Doug Jones. I interviewed Roddy Piper. I've interviewed Keith David, Chris Sarandon, lots of people. Jake Snake Roberts was an amazing interview. If you get a chance to listen to those things, those are a lot of fun to listen to. A lot of my older reviews, you see how, I like to think I've gotten better. But just check out some of my older stuff, especially the interviews. Check out some of the older YouTube podcasts. Help me raise those hours so that I can quote unquote defeat YouTube. Look, I want to stay on YouTube and I'm going to stay no matter what, but I want to be able to support the habit as they say. I don't look to get rich on YouTube, but I wouldn't mind having a little money to help me pay for, anytime I got to travel for a movie or movie tickets or whatever. It just helps the program go, So if I don't make it though, I ain't going anywhere, because I love what I do too much and I'm having too much fun and I'm not going to let this stop me. But that being said, I'm a little stubborn and, and I'd like to, claim this victory over YouTube, the whole David and Goliath thing, so, and like I said, support smaller YouTubers. There's a lot of people out there like, look, I'm doing this as a hobby and it's fun for me and I'm not going to stop. But there are people out there that grew up watching people on YouTube. Think about the people, the younger generation that, have been watching your Brad Joneses or have been watching your Doug Walkers or anyone like that have been doing it for a long time and have dreams of being able to do it too. And now all of a sudden the dream has gotten so much harder to achieve. So, I want you to, just keep in mind to support smaller YouTubers that, especially those that have a dream to be successful in this, that are willing to work hard and, be successful, show them a little love too. That's all I ask. That's going to be all for this week for Get on the Mic. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube and you want Get on the Mic or Heisen Nerd Speaks or the GB3 podcast in audio form, make sure to check out DNAdigitalNetwork.com. Until next time, this has been the real Geno Reynolds. Peace.